Hatch. Senator Levin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me add my welcome to our witnesses. Let me ask both of you, in August of 1998, in the aftermath of the East African embassy bombings, the United States launched cruise missiles at al-Qaeda targets in Afghanistan. Is it your understanding that bin Laden was an intended target of that attack? Let me start with you, Mr. Wolfowitz.
I don't know what the intentions were at that time, Senator. I've read that he was, but that it was considered a valuable target, whether or not he was there.
I agree.
All right. Were we not, in any event, after that attack, in effect, at war with bin Laden and al-Qaeda at that point 3 years ago?
I would say, Senator Levin, that we were probably at war with al-Qaeda in February of that year when bin Laden issued his famous fatwa declaring war on us, in effect, or possibly earlier. One of the basic problems we have here is we're not dealing with a traditional enemy where there's a clear transition from being at war or being at peace to being at war. But surely that fatwa was something that was pretty chilling.
Let me ask you about intelligence reporting from the FBI that you've received, and as to whether or not the reporting from the FBI on threat of foreign terrorism has changed since September 11th. Mr. Armitage, why don't I start with you?
Yes, Senator. From our point of view at State, it has. The FBI is a very active participant in the secure video teleconference that we have at least twice a week, simply in the counterterrorism arena. I asked the very question to our fellows this morning, and that's the answer I got.
That was not the case before September 11th?
No, I believe that it was not the case, and general sharing of information from law enforcement agencies was a real shortfall.
Okay. Mr. Wolfowitz?
I think there's definitely been a change since September 11th. I think there are still big issues that people wrestle with about civil liberties considerations involved in sharing information that may be directly related to a prosecution. And I think there are concerns that the FBI has, like every other agency, that if they share their information with someone else, it may get compromised. So there are still issues there, and there's no magic solution, but there's definitely a change since September 11th.
Be specific. What changes have occurred since September 11th?
I measured in terms of the quantity of information that I get either...
How would you measure it? Twice as much? 4 times?
Oh, enormously more. I mean, just threat reporting every morning that... and by the way, it isn't always clear when something has come from the FBI or from another intelligence source, but I'm making guesses that a lot of this is coming from FBI investigations.
And you're looking at the quantity of reporting every morning on threats?
Basically, yes.
And was that reporting available every morning prior to 9/11, but there wasn't as much each morning, or it was sporadic as to whether it was every morning or not?
I think it's two things. I don't think there was nearly as much. I mean, remember, all these people that the FBI has detained and interrogated around the world, including in this country, have produced a huge volume of information we didn't have before. But I also think there's a much greater willingness to share what they have.
Can you, yesterday the Joint Inquiry staff reported that a closely held intelligence report was prepared in August of 2001 for senior government officials, and that it included information that bin Laden had wanted to conduct attacks in the United States since 1997, as well as information acquired in May of 2001 that indicated that a group of bin Laden supporters was planning attacks in the United States with explosives. Can you tell me who within the administration received that report and what action was taken in response, if any, to the warnings in response to that specific intelligence report of August 2001 for senior government officials? Mr. Armitage, let me start with you.
I recall that general topic in the SEAB, the Senior Executive Intelligence Brief. I can't tell you who got it. I know I got that one, I think a day or two after. Some other people saw it, but I saw that, and it talked about a hijacking possibility.
Thank you. And Mr. Wolfowitz?
I have to confess I wasn't aware of it until I read about it much later, and maybe that's because it came in August, and I think during a time when I was on leave. I think we were generally aware of the fact that al-Qaeda attacks could take place in the United States as well as abroad, and put a lot of emphasis on heightened force protection levels. In July of last year, when we got an exceptionally large volume of threat reporting, we went on a worldwide alert, including at our facilities here in the United States.
Would you for the record, let these committees know who in the Defense Department then, if any, received that August 2001 intelligence report that I've referred to?
I will try to check for the record, yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.